mamas, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your very first time here. My name's Megan and I'm a 27-year-old mom to two little kiddos. My son Rowan is 2.5 and my daughter Juniper is like 8 months, I believe now. Today I'm doing another installment of my What I Wish I Had Known series, and we're talking about what I wish I had known about the 1 to 2 kid transition. Before we get into it, if you want to see more mom content, lots of day in the life vlogs, gardening, homemaking, all the good stuff, please don't forget to click that subscribe button down below. I would love to have you as a new friend here on my channel. So for some background, my son Rowan turned 2 exactly 2 weeks before my daughter was born. So we didn't technically have the 2 under 2, but it was pretty dang close. And I feel like I worried about the transition from 1 to 2 kids my entire pregnancy. I mostly worried about how my son would adapt, but also of course what life would look like with 2 kids, you know. It's a whole new phase, things kind of level up, you have to find new ways to adapt. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the things that I wish I had known before the transition and the things that I'm really glad that I did know that really helped us. And if you're looking for even more tips on transitioning from 1 to 2 kids, this video is actually in collaboration with my friend Beth Grace Moore. A lot of you guys probably already follow her. She is the sweetest mama here on YouTube. I absolutely love her channel myself. I've been following her for over a year now. Her daughter Vivian was under 2 when her son Jude was born, and she has some great tips as well. So when you're done with this video, make sure you head over to her channel. I will leave it linked in the description. She also does a lot of really cool day in the life vlogs and mom content, and I just can't recommend her highly enough. Like, her videos always put a smile on my face. If you're looking for another mom creator to watch, I highly recommend her channel. All right, let's get into it. So probably the biggest thing that I wish I had known about transitioning from 1 to 2 kids is that your older child might have a neutral reaction to the new baby. Every time I watched a video of somebody bringing a newborn home and then meeting their toddler sibling, it was one of 2 things. Either the sibling was like absolutely obsessed with the new baby and like hugging on them and kissing them and wanting to hold them, or there was like extreme jealousy and acting out. And so I kind of thought it would be one of those 2 things. I wasn't sure which it would be, and so I was kind of nervous about what would happen when we brought her home. But Rowan was really excited when he first met her. He wanted to hold her, gave her a couple kisses, and then was like, I'm done. And that's kind of been like his attitude towards her for the last 8 months. But yeah, this can be kind of interesting as a parent because on one hand, I'm glad that he doesn't like hate her and feel jealous about her getting all of our attention and all of that. But on the other hand, like, I really want to foster a relationship between the 2 of them, and he's just not there yet. Honestly, like, the baby isn't that interesting for the first year. She can't walk, she can't talk, she can't even crawl yet. And so he's just kind of like, okay that she's there, but not terribly interested. I will say that as she's gotten older and will like laugh and smile at him, he has gotten more interested. He gets really proud of himself when he can make her laugh, which is really cute. And I'm sure their bond will continue to develop, but as of right now, he's just kind of neutral. The second thing I wish I had known is that your second child gets a different parent than your first child did. And what I mean by that is that, yes, your second child might not get as much of your one-on-one attention. And that can be hard because, especially as a newborn, you want to give them so many snuggles. And I wanted to be doing the same things with Juniper that I did with Rowan, all of the sensory play and the Love Every Play kits and just letting her sleep on my chest and everything. And I didn't have as much bandwidth to do that stuff because I was also chasing after a toddler. But what they do get is a more calm, experienced parent, and that definitely has its merits as well. And if your older kid does have like an extreme reaction to their sibling and absolutely loves them, then they get a whole nother human who's loving on them and adoring them. So if you can, try not to feel so guilty that they don't get as much of your attention as your first kid did as a newborn, and look at the positives, that they're getting a more experienced version of you as a mom or dad. The third thing that I wish I had known is that if you had postpartum anxiety or depression with your first pregnancy, you may not necessarily get it with your second kid. I had pretty bad postpartum anxiety after I had Rowan, and I was so scared my whole pregnancy with Juniper that it was gonna happen again. And I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't. And I wish that I had known that it wasn't like a for sure thing because I wasted a lot of time and energy worrying about it. Of course, it is possible that you'll get it again. You obviously want to be checking in on yourself and talking to your doctor if you feel like something is off, but to give you a little hope, it's not always guaranteed with the second kid just because you had it with the first kid. The fourth thing that I wish I had known is that having a newborn is so much easier when you're not in lockdown. My 2020 and 2021 mamas will know what I mean by this, but the newborn stage with us for Rowan was so hard. And I think part of that was because he was kind of colicky, he wasn't a great sleeper, but also a huge part of it was that for the first 9 months of his life, like, we had no help. It was no grandparents, no friends, no family, anything. And it's not because they weren't willing, but the pandemic was in full force and we were first-time parents. We were scared. We wanted to keep our kid as safe as possible. And when he was born, it was like, locked down by the government. We could not have people over. So this time around, it's been a lot easier because my in-laws and our friends and other family members have been able to help us out. So if you had a really rough first newborn period, I am hoping that you have the same experience and it's a little better the second time around. The next thing that I wish I had known is that flexibility when you have two kiddos and one of them is a newborn is key, especially with naps. When Rowan was a newborn, I was very strict about his eat, play, sleep schedule. His wake windows were always pretty exact. I was keeping track of the hours that he slept during the day, and with Juniper, all that kind of went out the window. And she had to sleep on the go a lot. She slept in the baby wrap a lot, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And that flexibility was huge for us. Having done it both ways, I can assure you that your baby will survive if they have to be a little bit more flexible with their wake windows and their naps. And I also found that I felt more comfortable with that as a parent. I think I was so worried about Rowan getting overtired because I didn't have a lot of experience with how to calm him if he did, that I was always really, like I said, just strict and on top of it and scared of his wake windows being too long. And with her, I kind of was like, oh, she's supposed to be in bed right now. Okay, well, we should maybe wrap things up pretty soon. The last thing I wish I had known is that there may be growing pains, but everything is going to be okay. And you're doing a great job. I know it can feel so hard and overwhelming when there is a huge life change. Everything shifts. Your toddler is experiencing a lot of changes. You're experiencing a lot of changes. If you gave birth, whether that was vaginally or by a C-section, you're recovering and you're not gonna do it perfectly. Nobody's gonna do it perfectly. But at the end of the day, if your kids are fed, clothed, and loved, they have everything they need and it's gonna be okay. Now moving on to a couple of things that I am glad that I knew that really helped us in this stage. The first one, and you will probably not be surprised if this is not your first time on my channel, is that baby wearing is key. I have a whole video on my favorite baby wraps and carriers, so I'll link that below. I won't go through them all right now, but we baby wore Juniper so much, and it was the best way for us to get skin to skin, for her to be able to sleep on us, but also for us to keep up with our toddler at the same time. We didn't even get an infant bucket seat that you can carry around because for me personally, I felt like everything was a lot easier when I was baby wearing out and about, so we pretty much did this constantly, and it really helped. As far as managing your toddler's expectations and the first meeting and all of that, I also have a couple of tips that helped us. The first one is when you bring baby home from the hospital, greet your toddler, just you or you and your spouse first, and then greet them with the baby, because if you come in and you have the baby right away, they might be a little bit put off. So what this looked like for us was I was holding Juniper, Matt met Rowan at the door, was like, hey buddy, how are you? I missed you. Had a moment with him first before he even started talking about the baby's here, and then Rowan came over to meet the baby. I would also highly recommend having your toddler pick out a gift for their baby sibling and then getting a gift from the baby to the toddler and having them exchange gifts at their first meeting. Rowan really liked picking something out for his sister and he still remembers it and still talks about it. So I think that started their relationship off on a good note. And then the biggest thing that I'm so thankful that we knew ahead of time, and I got this from the Big Little Feelings Instagram. If you don't follow them, you are missing out. You definitely should go follow them because they have the best parenting tips, is something that they called Don't Blame the Baby. So the way that this works essentially is that you utilize the passive voice or turning no's into yeses when you are talking to your toddler about things that you can't do because you're occupied with the baby. So instead of saying, Rowan, I can't play with you right now, I'm feeding your sister, I would say, yes, I am so excited to play with you. I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes and when that timer goes off, we will play together. What do you wanna play? You can also do this using the passive voice, but the general idea is to not directly blame the baby or even really bring the baby into the conversation when you're saying that you can't do something with them right away. Like I said, he's kind of neutral on her, but we rarely, if ever, see jealousy from him because of her, which is huge. And I literally think it's just because of this one tip. If you guys want more tips on the 1 to 2 kid transition, especially if you have 2 under 2, don't forget to go and check out Beth's channel. Again, it will be linked down below. She is doing the same kind of video and I know it's gonna be so helpful for you guys. If you're coming over from Beth's channel, hi, I'm so happy to have you here. If you wanna see more motherhood content and day in the life vlogs with my kiddos, don't forget to click that subscribe button down there so we can stay friends. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you tons and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!
Golden things.